Hello, hello, hello. This is Truth Be Told. This is Dr. Walter Ackah.
This is your boy Leroy Horton.
We're back from the NDA.
Whew,
We're
we sure
say this
are.
again?
I said we sure are.
Yeah,
We are back.
yeah. And uh the great debate happened
Hmm.
and I it was probably better than I thought it would be, to be honest.
Yes, yes. And let me just say, because when you're a man, you got to man up, right?
Okay.
I feel like we both put on a great show.
Yeah.
We came with the literature,
Yep.
we came with rebuttals, we came
Hmm.
prepared.
Hmm.
Everybody loved it,
Yep.
but in the end, we didn't have the electronic vote we voted for, but we had a round of applause and some judging. And I do have to give credit where credit is due. And my man Walt did have his hand raised in the end. So I definitely want to give you your flowers and say, job well done.
I
Uh,
appreciate that.
People were on your side on that topic, and I'm looking for that rematch.
No, for sure. But it's funny just listening to you. I feel like you don't believe the results. And there's a certain somebody that's running for president that didn't believe the results. Right? I feel like you may be headed down a very dangerous path. And if January 6th happens again in in Vegas, I know who to look at. if somebody tries to start a coup because they didn't want to, they don't believe in the results of the people, I know who to look for. But no, it was
I will tell the audience that my position was one of this is too complicated for you, the GP.
yeah, you messed
Your
up.
position was he does not believe in you. You're amazing. You're great. I'm power to the people. And so once I realized that that's what was happening, I was like, okay. It don't matter how much literature I throw out.
At
He's
all.
got the people on his side.
You got to empower people. That's your problem. You don't want to empower. You want to be the people that go, listen, let's take care of you. You just sit there and look pretty. I said, no, get out there and you can do it too. But no, I honestly hope that we get the chance maybe to put up some of the lecture, some of our discussion, like a little, like we'll put it together where we put something together so people can actually watch it that didn't make it to the NDA. We can put something together, I think, that kind of goes over what we talked about and just kind of a little video, 5-10 minutes. Because I feel
Hey,
like
but
that's
put oh good. You feel like
no, no,
what?
I was gonna say that I feel like that's the best thing to do is just give a little summary of what happened and kind of get to show because people have been asking me, hey man, like, are you gonna be able to show this to us or whatever for people that didn't make it? So
Right, right. But speaking of summaries, man, so give us your synopsis. I mean, we had a couple days in Vegas at the NDA.
right,
What are your
right.
thoughts?
Yeah, okay, so let me just kind of give you a roundabout, basically a summary of what happened to me. This is
Okay.
only from my viewpoint, right? And so it all started actually about a week before I was supposed to fly out. I was talking to you and you said, hey, when is your flight? And I said, oh, it's Thursday night. Mind you, our presentation is Friday morning. And you said, and I quote, oh man, I hope you make it. That threw me for a loop for a week because I was like, oh
Here.
damn, he's right. This has been and mind you, this is just the whole CrowdStrike Delta Airlines crashing down just happened. So I was like, oh man, he's right. Like I pray I can make it to this. You know what I mean? Because I booked my flight for like 8 p.m. my time central and I was gonna get there like 10, 11 o'clock Vegas time. And so I was so anxious the whole entire time. Even the day of, I kept checking my phone. Please don't be delayed. Please don't get canceled. You know what I mean? So I'm like, man, I made a mistake. I should have been there a day or two before. just just so I don't miss out on this, right? Just so that
Right.
the airlines are not the reason I miss out on this lecture. And this is probably the biggest lecture I've ever done like for an organization. This is the biggest. I've done smaller groups, but this is the biggest. And so I was like, I can't miss this. And I put too much effort and time into this. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Right.
I was like, I want to win. I can't have him go up there and be like, see, I knew he was scared of me, you know what I mean? Sting like a butterfly, fly like a bee kind of BS. So I said, nah, this is not happening. I got to get there. Uh, and so though, I get to the airport and I'm praying, and we get on the plane, and I'm still praying. And once we took off, is when I said, "Thank you, Jesus.
Right.
I'm gonna make it." Because
Right.
we were on the turnpike for another what, like, I want to say 30 minutes, and that scared me. I was like, "Oh man."
Really?
Yeah, because we just weren't moving. And we've been
Mm.
sitting in the plane for like 45 minutes, right? Oh, we're gonna get you going, da da da.
Oh,
And
I
then I was
hate
like,
that.
oh
I
man.
hate that.
Right. And so that scared me the whole time. And it wasn't until we were literally in the air where I knew we could not turn around again that I said, okay, I'm gonna make it to Vegas.
Right, right,
So
right.
in the flight, I'm literally looking at my presentation, and I'm kind of going over it. And I think I sound crazy because I'm kind of going over my presentation, but almost somewhat out loud, like my mouth is moving. So I bet you people are looking around me like, what the hell's wrong with this guy? And throughout my whole entire time, I'm moving like my slides around.
Mhm.
I know that you shouldn't do this, but I'm moving my slides around because I'm like,
Right,
I want to tell a story. I want to make sure that the audience understands my side really
right.
well. And so I'm moving my slides around, and I'm just trying to make it sound really good. I get to Vegas. I get out of the airplane, and this hot air hits my face. It
Yeah.
is 108 degrees
At night.
at night. The sun has been down for 7 hours, and it is 108 degrees. I
Mhm.
said to myself, this is not it. I said, nope, this is the devil's armpit. I can't do this. This is not right. So I'm literally thinking now I might want to get back on a plane and just fly back to Houston. Right.
Right.
Well, mind you, we have rain here, but I was like, oh, this is not right. And
Oh,
and then so then I basically look for I get out, and I'm looking for the Uber Lyft area.
mhm.
And so you walk through the airport, and you get to this section, and then you see ahead of you, you have to go through these double doors, and you see ahead of you where the Uber Lyft is. But it's another like football field distance. And
It really is.
you have to walk in the heat.
Yeah,
And I was like,
yeah.
what is wrong with this place? Why don't it's like remember when Buffalo the Bills had that snowstorm, and they basically had to cancel their game for a few, because Buffalo has blizzards, right?
Right,
So then they're building a new stadium. Guess what? It still has not it's not a dome. It still is not
right.
covered. So it's like you didn't learn a lesson.
No, you didn't.
This is
You
what
didn't.
Vegas is to me. I'm like, come on. It is last year it was 125 degrees. You know
Right.
darn well this is put some shade, put some fan, put some mist, something to get, because you're waiting outside for these Ubers.
But no, they were like, let's just have
Yeah,
an open air structure in the middle of
bro, it was I was
in the
just
middle
thinking
of
like
the desert.
this can't be life, man. This cannot be life for anybody. So I finally get into Uber, I get to the hotel, and I get dropped off. And if you don't know, we were at Caesar's Palace. And
Mhm.
Caesar's is a very big hotel.
Yeah.
Huge. And where they drop you off is like 8 miles from the reservation, and like that table to register and to check in. It's like 8 miles.
Right.
But no one tells you this.
Right.
It is 10 o'clock, probably like almost 11 o'clock now. This is Vegas time. So it's
Hmm.
1 o'clock Houston time.
Right.
Bro, I've missed my bedtime going 3 hours here.
Right.
I go to bed at 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not young. I don't care to be young. I I don't care to wake up. I don't care to stay awake. There's no point to
Right.
that. I need to
Right.
go to sleep. So I'm walking around. I'm irritated. I can't find the check in. I finally find this check in, and this lady goes, "Oh, good news. We upgraded you."
Oh,
Oh, I
okay.
said, "Oh." I said,
Yeah.
so I said, "Okay." Then she goes, "Yeah, it's great news for you." But listening to her and being so angry, I didn't care. So all I said was, "Okay." I said, "Okay." She
Mad.
goes.
You were mad at the Lord by that time. You're like, it's 110 degrees in the desert.
So I said, "Okay." So I get my stuff finally, right? Because she wants to then start having conversations. And oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Oh, what are you here for? Conference. Oh, okay. And then we start. She wants to talk, but I keep giving her one word
Just give
answers.
me my damn key, lady. Just give me
Thank
my
you,
goddamn key.
thank you. So I finally get it, and she said, "I said, ma'am, can you tell me where? because she goes, "Oh, you're in the Palace tower."
Hmm.
Okay. I go, "Man, can you tell me where the Palace tower is?" Yeah, you go straight and make a left. Now, in my
Yeah.
mind, I'm thinking, I'm gonna go straight, and I have no choice but to make a
Right.
left because that's what she said. Go straight and make a left. What she didn't tell me was Caesar's Palace is a big circle.
It's 360.
It's a big circle.
Everywhere is left. Everywhere is left when you're in a
Thank
circle.
you. This lady tells me to go straight and make a left. I walked around for another 15 minutes until I found somebody who looks like they work there to tell me, and it was brother. So he goes, "Hey man, look, just do this. Go ahead and go here. You find Mr. Chow. You make a, I think it was like he's like, you make a right, and then you do this, and then I got there. And I said, thank you, Jesus. So I'm
Yes.
even angry now, right? And I'm just like irritated because I'm lack of sleep. I'm still going over this presentation in my head.
Right.
This lady just tells me to go straight and make a left. So I finally get there. I get to my room. I'm like, all right, cool. I can't even enjoy the upgrade. I can't even enjoy the upgrade. I'm
Right.
just so tired. I take a shower and I go ahead and go to bed. And you text me, yo, bro, let's meet at 7 a.m. So now my anger is going to go towards you next. Hold on, I'm coming. 7 a.m. Okay. He said 7 a.m. I've never known you
Right.
to be late. Cool. I
Right.
say, okay. If you look, I just said, okay.
Yeah.
There's no more
I read
discussion.
into that. I was like, okay, he's either tired or annoyed. When someone either says just okay or gives you a thumbs up, you already know something's going on.
So I'm like, I just want to go to bed. So I go to bed and then I get up at like 5 a.m. because I want to go through my presentation again. So I'm rearranging the place. I'm still rearranging, bro. Still rearranging. And this is again, this is just I need to make sure that I killed this. I need to make sure I killed this. So then you text me, make it 7:15. I said, I'm already ready. It doesn't even matter. Got it. I'll be there. I get down there at 7, I think it was like 7:10. Because I found out that we literally are where the conference is. So, oh man, great positioning. Excellent job, NDA. You put us exactly where, so that somebody like myself doesn't get lost. Thank you, NDA. I just take the elevator down. Bop, I'm there. Cool. I'm sitting there, and and there are two ladies there, and I go to them because they look like the registration table, and they're like, "Oh no, we're hygienists. We're there for we're there for hygiene and their registration. But let's see if we can help you out." And this is when I knew that hygienists were better than dentists because they were on time. They were there an hour early. Now ask me where the dental registration people were.
Where were they?
Nowhere to be found.
Nowhere to be.
No, nowhere to be found. So these ladies, so wonderful, helped me register.
Mm,
Then I look at the clock and I said, "Oh, it's 7:15.
right.
Dr. Horton will be here.
He should be right around the corner. I
He
should
should
see
be
him
right there.
turn in the
He's
corner
coming
right
up the
now.
escalator. I can guarantee you." 7:20. I text you. Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna be a little late.
Right.
There has to be a good reason. He
Right.
must have something. He must be saving a child. He must be saving someone's life. Then you can. Then I call you and I go, "Yo, bro, what's going on?" "Yeah, man. I went for a low run. I worked out this morning, and I don't want to be sweaty, so I got to and I got to sit down and cool off." Yo, I'm sitting here like this mother. He told me to
I
be
did.
here at
I
seven
did.
fifteen.
I did.
Right.
Let me interject real quick, just
Please.
so people can at least sympathize with me.
I don't
There
know
was
how.
there's a good brother named Dr. Marshall Titus in the Seattle area who's part of this running group called Black Men Run Seattle. He's always posting he's running, right? He's a real good dude, real good dude. He was actually linked to me as a mentor back when I was in dental school 20 years ago. So we said, hey, let's get a morning run in. We'll get a quick 3 mile,
Mm.
right? So I timed it all out. We were gonna be starting at like 6:15, get 3 miles. That gives me 30 minutes, to get ready and be there for you, my man Walter Ackah, on
Because you
time.
said 7:15. I didn't say
Yeah.
7:15. You said 7. Okay, got it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we get into this run and we're halfway there, right at the 1.5 mile marker. We turn around. Now, mind you, it was like 95 degrees that morning.
Oh, it cooled
I'm
down.
act
It cooled
Yeah,
down.
it cooled down. Yeah. I'm acclimated to the heat because I'm coming off my Italy and Greece trip where it's been that much the whole time. As soon as we turn around, my man crashes and he's just like, you go ahead. I gotta walk. I can't breathe in this heat. And no man left behind. I can't
Not
just
at
leave
all.
my man in Vegas.
Not at
So
all.
we actually had to walk back. And I was looking at the clock and I was looking at my man and I was like, you want to push him, but you don't want to be the asshole that's like, hey, I need you to run in the devil's armpit right now. So all that to say,
Hmm.
I had a good reason because I couldn't leave my man behind, but absolutely, I
But the
was
reason
late.
you told me,
I was
because
late.
if you would have said that reason, I
Yeah.
actually would have not even minded.
Okay.
What you told me was, nah, I gotta cool down first
Right.
because I don't want to sweat when I get down there. I gotta cool
Right.
down. Is what you told me. Tell me if I'm
Right.
wrong.
No, and part of that is true because
Mm,
by the time we got back, I mean, we spent like an extra 25 minutes just
right,
walking in the heat.
right.
And I'm one of those people where it's like I took a shower and I was like, all right, I'm gonna throw my clothes on. I get my shirt buttoned up, and all of a sudden I realize I'm still sweating.
That's it.
And I'm like,
That's it.
I can't show up with like armpits, stains first thing in the morning. So I had to jump back in the cold shower. But yes,
Right,
I
right.
was late. So
Yeah.
I'll let you keep
So
going.
he's late. He says all that to say he was late.
I
Okay,
was
so
late.
my story is still very very true. So so we get there. Finally, we all reconvene and we get there and we're excited. And we go in through the door and we see one podium. Right. And this is when you can actually interject because now I'm mixing you into this. So we
Because that
see
wasn't
one
the plan.
podium.
That wasn't the plan.
It was not planned because we thought it's a debate.
Right.
Common sense would say there should be two podiums if we're going to debate each other. But that wasn't the case. But here's what we said. Okay, cool. It is what it is. Let's go ahead and just work with what we got. So we're on the sidelines and we're trying to basically work it out. Right. We're trying to figure out how to make it look good and so forth. So we finally get it down and it's now close to 8 o'clock.
Start time.
Right. It's
At 8
showtime.
o'clock. So everyone knows 8 o'clock is start time.
It's
And
eight
we got a
o'clock is
plan.
start time.
At 7:55, we have a plan.
We're good to go. Here's the funny thing: the people that work there decided at 8 o'clock, let's start breaking the stage down and get them to 2. And we're both looking at each other going, and so
What the hell's going on right now?
right. And mind you, we figured out, hey, how do we make this work? So then the guy comes up and says, hey, look, we're making this work. We're doing this for you.
Right.
But no one asked them to do this now.
No.
So I don't know why he thought he was a hero. And he was so confident when he came to us. I got you guys.
Right.
I'm going to make this work. We're like, we don't need you to. We needed you 30 minutes ago, not now.
Right, right.
So they're basically setting up the screen and they're going through and showing like our slides and everything. And we're just all like, we're just shaking our head now.
Bro, and bless his heart. The way, if you imagine, we've already contained the fire.
That's it.
And then a firefighter comes in full tilt, kicking down the door. And we couldn't stop it because literally it wasn't just one man. It was like a team of 6 people out of the blue start wheeling stuff in, podiums, carts, stages. And we're looking at it's 8 o'clock now.
It's ready to
And
go.
this is not a 5 minute endeavor. It was like
No.
a 20-minute endeavor. And then they're like plugging our computers in and putting the slides up.
Miking us up. So we're sitting there going, okay, it is what it is. So they finally finish and then we start. And it was great. Honestly, probably one of the best times I've had, one of the best lectures that I've had. And I'm not saying this because I'm biased, but it truly was. People came up to us and said, this was fun, this was engaging, and it's 8 a.m. So when you go to a conference, let me tell you, if people don't know, when dentists go to conference, they barely make it to the 8 o'clock. But it was standing room only. It was a lot of people that had been excited to see and hear this, and they really stayed awake. Because you know how it is. 8 a.m. You're getting your coffee in, you're yawning, and you can see that everybody's no, people were awake.
They were awake. And I'll tell you this much. We had almost 120 people scanned in, right? At an 8 o'clock in the morning session at a convention that probably had about 200, maybe 220 doctors registered.
Right.
Some people actually register and don't show up. They register just support the organization.
Right.
but we had more than half of the entire, we probably had more people in our debate than the actual opening session had, which is
Right.
like the big ceremony of,
Yeah.
that's how much buzz we created.
Right.
And when I tell you, for non, my wife thought, I mean, she was trying to make sure my head didn't get too big. We were essentially celebrities the whole rest of our duration there. I
People were
was
showing
walking
love.
through Caesar's Palace, people coming up to me, saw your guys' debate. It was the most educational, entertaining.
Yeah.
So what we did, and this is why I'm so proud of you as my friend and my
No, no, for sure.
colleague, partner on this, um, because we blended something that was educational, scientific, case presentation based,
Right.
entertaining, and engaging to where we held people's attention for 2 hours,
Right. Right.
2 whole hours,
Yeah.
and no one was falling asleep.
Right.
Everyone was laughing. Everybody was voting. They were engaged. It
Yeah.
was hands down I think probably one of the best productions I've been a part of.
Right. And you've done a lot of lecturing for different
Right.
organizations and so forth. So it was fun, man. It was a good time. And then and then we finished, right? We stayed around, we talked to people, and then we had to run because we wanted to see other people's presentation. Right. Because it was, I mean, honestly, if you didn't come to the NDA, and if you did, you know this. Like there were so many different presentations that were going on, from endo to sleep with kids, and determining if kids have this, and if legality, and there was a bunch of stuff. Like if you didn't find something you liked, you didn't come to the NDA. Let's be honest. So it was incredible to see. It was fun to see, and people were just really like hyped up about everything that was happening. Here's the funny part. I felt bad for you
Oh, right.
because if you don't know, right, whenever you're doing anything, it's like a wedding. The bride and groom are always very stressed,
Mhm.
but their guests are drunk and they're having a good time.
Yes.
That was basically for me what I saw with you, because you were in charge of basically making sure every presentation went well.
Right.
And I saw from the back, I saw people, you moving chairs and putting chairs in the room and so forth, and everybody just sitting there laughing, ha ha ha, taking pictures and so forth. But they don't see the craziness in the background. It was funny to me. I'm not gonna lie. I laughed a few times because I was like,
No,
this man.
it was funny because that moment where you were like, "Hey, Leroy, let's just let's see how the room plays out." Like trying to be calm, and I was like, "Whoa, grab some chairs. We gotta go now, now."
It really was. He's like running back and forth, and I'm like, yeah, this is not it. What is going on? And I was like, all right, let me grab some chairs. So I started just because I say, hey, let's just wait and see. He's like, no, no, grab it. I was like, okay, just grabs it, and I just followed him, mind you. So I want you guys to imagine if you had, you know, Fabio mixed with some 90s hip hop. This is what Horton looked like. He had such a deep V. His shirt. I'm not even sure how many buttons he had, but you could you could tell he only had like maybe 4 of them buttoned out of like 8. And then he
Right.
had the nerve to wear a scarf. It is 130 degrees outside, and he had a scarf on.
I did, but
Uh-huh.
I gotta put that out there. It was my Palestinian scarf, so I was making a political statement
Got you.
with that.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but for anyone
How do you explain the deep V?
well, here's the thing, and this is the funny part, right? So I've always kind of had that type of uh, attraction to that type of style,
Right.
right? Where it's just kind of very bohemian,
Mhm.
just very different, right?
Right.
Like my wife, she likes more of like a traditional, like even my hair, like she likes a short Caesar with maybe some waves, very
That's it.
clean cut.
You're right.
I'm very seen my hair can be wild. So I
Right.
had kind of had like a Cam Newton thing going on,
He did.
I
He
don't know.
did. That's actually
Right,
he looked like Cam Newton without the
right.
without the football
With a
accolades.
thing. But I tell you this is what made my day.
Uh-huh.
After all that, we're in the elevator, and no one really comments on my look, right?
No,
I don't
no,
even think
no
my
one did.
wife really commented on my look the way I would want it to. We're in the elevator, and there's this older white couple that's in the elevator with us.
Hmm.
And the guy looks at me, he's got to be in his 60s. He goes, "I like your look." He was like, not in I'm not trying to come on to you, but you got that Lenny Kravitz look going on. And I think
True.
you'll Boy, that made my day.
You
I
said it
was
was
like,
worth it.
that made this whole day worth it because that's my look. That's my look.
He said it was worth it. He said, I got Lenny. Oh, it's a wrap. He didn't care what happened after that, but
Nope.
it was I will say it was an incredible opportunity to meet some great people. It really was. It was an awesome time. And then actually at lunchtime I had to kind of dip away because some demo students had invited me to go to lunch with them, and they were all Ghanaians. And so I'd invited you, but you were too busy. You were all over the place. You were running around just trying to make sure fires were put out. And so I went to lunch with these it was about like 11 Ghanaian students, and it was just incredible here. But I wanted to ask you this, right? Literally talking to them, man, made me feel like I was back as a student because the same problems that I had with lack of diversity is what they're having. And this is now I'm going to age myself, but this is almost yeah, I'm going to definitely age myself. But this is now almost I'm going to say close to 20 years difference from when I started school
Right.
till now. About 20-year difference. And you're telling me nothing has improved when it comes to minority diversity in dental schools at all. Because literally what they were saying was exactly my complaint when I was a student.
Right. Right. First, to address the dating issue, 20 years ago, you were already an adult. So people need to
Respect.
realize
Respect.
that's how old you are. You can time frame 20 years ago,
Wait a
and
minute.
you were already an adult 20 years ago.
Wait,
20 years ago when I was a kid. You were a full-fledged adult 20 years ago.
20,
And can
20 years ago,
say
I had
20
the
years
fro
ago.
almost. I had the fro. That's how bad. That's how long ago I had a bit of a fro. So that's how long ago it was. We were back in the day where we had FUBU, and I literally would wear nothing everything baggy. I would have
Right.
3X
Right.
shirts, but that's back in the day. I digress.
But it's right. I mean, I think the last report that I saw was that when you look at just black male physicians
Mhm.
in general, it's been the percentage has been stagnant since like 1940. So, we've maybe made gains of, 1%,
Mhm.
to a whopping, I think like 5% now.
Mhm.
The sisters are doing much better than we are. They're still underrepresented, but
Right.
they've been killing the game on the sciences and the healthcare.
And it's
Um,
funny. Out of the 11, 10 of them were women. One
yeah.
guy came.
So listen, I don't know what we got to do to motivate our young men. I
Yeah.
think there's a lot of things that they face that's unique. Messaging, discouragement,
Mm.
difficulties, from grade school up, that we lose a lot of, especially young black men in the STEM field, from the STEM field by high school,
Mm.
or, by end of high school. So maybe we just need to let them see, like, hey, there is a whole slew of beautiful women in this field. So if for nothing else, as a young man,
Very true.
better your life. But we already know, I mean,
The odds are in your
men,
favor.
as men, we're stupid, right? And
Respect.
I said, we follow some of the most carnal and simplistic motivations.
Mm.
So if we could tell these young men, hey, you can help your community
Right.
and you can be in a place where the ratio is always amazing as a young man,
You get paid well.
get paid well.
Mm-hmm.
And that ratio of men to women, like
Mm.
you're it's a great ratio to be
It's
in. So
skewed
if for
towards
nothing
your
else,
side. It's skewed very
yeah,
positively towards your side. Yep.
right. And I say that in jest, but it's I don't know what it is. I think there's a lot of young men that are drawn towards business and
Well, but that's
entertainment.
what dentistry is too. You can own your own business. You're an entrepreneur.
They don't see that. And part of it, and you remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my friends coming out of high school, ones that went into, the trades, my good
Mm-hmm.
buddy that went into being a longshoreman like his dad,
Mm-hmm.
buddy of mine that became a plumber.
Right.
They started making great money
Yep.
right away.
That's it.
And I was the brokest friend in the group until I hit my late 20s when I
Right.
graduated. And obviously it pays off in the end, but that's a real tough thing to
That's
be
true. That's true.
when you want to have value on the dating market, when you want to have social kind of value amongst your peers,
Right.
and everyone else is making a real life income and they got
Mhm.
nice cars and taking trips,
That's it.
and you're a broke student for another 10 years. Like, that's a hard sell.
Yeah, no, you're right. And giving up your 20s, pretty much, right? Giving up your 20s. And you're right. One of my one of my best friends, like he has been in the trades for so long. And I always say this that he works way harder than I ever will, physically, right? But you're right. He was driving. I remember we still talk about this, we still laugh about this. While I was going through dental school, being broke, he had a Mustang, he had like Caddy because he worked hard for it. He was working overtime, he was doing whatever. And so you're right. Looking at that, man, what am I doing here? When is this gonna pay off?
Right.
I get that, but I do believe that delayed gratification is gonna always pay off. It's gonna
Always.
always pay, and I think it's up to us as the gentleman, as actually as anybody who's a dentist, to bring these kids in. And maybe this is a little advice for the NDA is to bring some, maybe sponsor a few kids that might be interested, and just come to the conference, see the people. Because if you see, not only do you see the swag, if you see the people, my God, it was like going through like a Met Gala, like,
Yes.
like
Yes.
well dressed, well put together, well educated people walking around.
Listen, and I'm gonna tell you this much. Because me and you, we've been to regular dental conferences, we've been to
We've been
specialty
specialty ones. Yep.
conferences. No one has the swag
Mm-mm.
like a group of black anything. You know what I'm saying?
Very
And if
true.
and maybe we just got to do a better job, like you said, of giving access, putting
Yeah.
ourselves out there.
Right.
This was literally whether it was the dental students
Mm-hmm.
or the actual dentist,
Yeah.
the swaggiest,
Mm.
the coolest,
Yeah. I
the
agree.
most just everything that would be the epitome of excellence,
Mm.
not just in what they do,
That's it.
but in how they present
That's it.
themselves.
That's it.
This was 100%
That's
that.
it.
It
Yeah.
does not get better than that.
No, that is
You know?
very true. That is very true. And I don't even want to say black excellence. I mean, just excellence in general.
Right.
I mean, literally, if you walk around, you're like, yeah, this is it right here. These
Yeah.
these people want, they want greatness. So
Yeah.
that was something that I really enjoyed, just being in that environment, and then just talking to the I'm gonna say older dentist, male and female, just getting their opinion, getting their input, was incredible for me. And
Right.
I'll speak for myself. It's incredible for me. And then, we go through this. I leave. I think it's like I finished the last lecture and I'm good. And I'm just like, I'm gonna leave you. I think you pretty much wrapped up, I want to say, and we were all done. We are like, okay, cool. We've seen every lecture. You were the last one. Because you actually had to go back and do another lecture because we had a cancellation. Like something
Right.
happened where the presenter couldn't make it. So you
Right.
basically had to put together another presentation to present.
Right.
So you did that, finished up, right? Um, we're done for the day, and then I'm supposed to meet up with a friend of mine, and we were gonna go see the Michael Jackson, not the Cirque du Soleil one. No,
Right.
that's too classy. We went to go see Michael Jackson impersonator. Okay,
Okay.
and when I say I regret absolutely nothing, I mean I
Oh,
regret absolutely nothing. Okay,
it was that
it,
good?
bro, they don't even pretend that this was Michael. The guy's name was Santana Jackson. Coming on stage, Santana Jackson.
Right.
I said, this is going to be great. And then he
Right.
he said, after we're done, thank you everybody for coming. He tried to sound like Michael and so forth. But he goes, after we're all done, I'm going to meet you in the front and we're going to sign some autographs, but I got to go put on my face again because I don't want you guys to know I'm Hispanic.
Uh,
And I said, did I just hear that correct? Sure enough, yes, I did. It was incredible. What it was so much fun to watch this man put on some Michael Jackson. I mean, I love me some Michael, so I'm listening to songs, I'm having a great time. And
right.
it was probably one of the best things that I've seen, and I regret
Really
absolutely nothing. I
nice.
mean, let me see if I can show you guys a picture. And this is how wonderful it is. Can everybody see this? Can you see this picture?
Back it up a little bit. It's a little blurry. Right about there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this is basically Santana Jackson
It's
hitting the walk. I mean, it was I can't even say how amazing it was because
listen. He
it,
said he had to go put his face back on. How
bro.
did he say? Do it in the Michael Jackson voice.
Well, see, I'm not gonna do that because I don't feel like
What's he like? I just gotta go put on
he's
my,
like,
my face
guys,
back on.
I just want to tell you something real quick, okay? I mean, stop teasing, Tito. Stop. It was incredible. It was the best. I mean, I'm talking about it. If you get a chance, go see Michael Jackson. MJ
Well, that's
Live is
awesome.
the name, and no one pays me MJ Live. It was so much fun, but it
Right.
was so ridiculous that you had no choice but to enjoy yourself. It was so, and then every single time he come out with a new, bedazzled shirt, jacket, and I'm like, another one. It just kept coming. I was like, this is the best Michael Jackson I've ever seen in my life. And I never got a chance to see the original, but man, the original would have been proud
Oh
of
man.
Santana Jackson.
Well, I'm
You know,
glad you had a good time, man. I think that was a well-deserved break from
no,
your
yeah. It was
regular
fun.
routine all the way around,
Yeah,
you
man.
know.
But now it's your turn. I know you I need to hear from your side what you kind of experienced. But for me, I had a great time. I didn't have to do
Yeah.
as much as you did.
You know, I tell you this much, man. I was very nervous going into it because for anyone that doesn't know the background, I came in as chair late last year, and I was charged with really elevating the content, the programming even more. And I was so enthusiastic and so ambitious that I got so many speakers to do some pretty high level stuff with hands on. I got Neodent to provide us 15 implant motors and over 60 implants for some hands on implant training. I got Geislich to give us these bone grafting boxes with these models and all their different membranes. Like I went full throttle on
Right.
this.
Right.
And at one point, I said, okay, I can only have so much programming on one day. I need to expand the program. So I fought tooth and nail for them to give me a Thursday. Because typically they just do Friday, Saturday, Sunday
That's it.
morning.
Yeah.
They were scared because they said, well, we don't want to put on Thursday general academic session and no one shows up because
That's
most
true.
everyone's probably going to fly in Thursday night.
Hmm.
But you know me, I'm very obstinate and I can be very boisterous. So I fought tooth and nail. I was probably a lot of snarky emails in
There it
there.
is.
They gave me Thursday, and I was so nervous because the last thing I wanted to do was to be an asshole,
Hmm.
in my obstinance, and
Right.
then it's an empty room. No one shows up, right? But when I tell you, bro, Thursday morning, we had third molar surgery with Jared Williams,
Hmm.
standing room only. Thursday afternoon, we had Mark Bashara out of the Canadian Dental Implant Network from Ontario,
Hmm.
standing room, like not just
Nice.
standing room only. We had the room. We had to bring in 20 extra chairs.
Okay.
The person that was working that is in charge of like the fire marshal code came to me and said, listen, if you bring one more chair in here, I got to shut this down. And I still had about 6 or 7 people on the outside that were mad at me because I couldn't let them in.
Tell that story with the ladies.
Oh, Jesus, listen. They went in on me. I heard how unprepared I was,
Mm,
how it's so unfair. They paid for this seat. Now, mind you, the program it says limited seating.
right.
And not only, and there was pre-registration available. So you get security seating. And then after that, it was first come, first serve. And these sweet ladies, we started at 1, they showed up at 2:15, 2:15, mad that it was full.
That's
But
right.
as much as they were going in on me on day 1, I won them over by day 2 and 3 because they loved me and it was all love at the end. But every session, Rico Short,
Right.
Endo,
Right.
standing room only.
Right.
Nico Soldados with the hands-on grafting on Saturday, completely full. Amanda Okende, an amazing dental anesthesiologist out of Vegas, all her sessions. I mean, it was such a good turnout.
Right.
Program was so good. People were so happy. And I actually got emotional. And I remember I texted my wife and I said, listen, I'm feeling a little emotional because even though it was stressful, we were undermanned, understaffed, to the point where I even had to have you grab chairs, like you said earlier, to help me
Which
out.
was fine. Which was
Um,
because I was already done. My stress that went from 100 down to like 0, so I was good. You could have
and
been
you were all
like,
suited up too, and you were like, wait, you want me to grab chairs? Like that's not my job.
I did have to think
I'm,
twice. I was like, do you know what I look good right now? I look fly. What are
I'm
you
the
doing?
talent. I'm not the help. I'm the talent. That was your
Right.
whole vibe. But when I tell you I got emotional because despite all the hiccups, that was really me as a chair of a scientific committee. trying to bring a new brand of programming, it really came to fruition. And it just kind of made all these months of hard work and frustration and hitting my head against the wall and anxiety
Right.
worth it because it was a huge success.
Right.
So I was really happy with that. And obviously, for anyone that was there that's listening, if there's any logistical organizational hiccups, I promise you, I've gathered all the feedback, and that gives me ammunition to go back to the board and say, hey, I need these resources, I need these
Right.
opportunities to make it smoother, right? But I had a blast, man. I think Vegas was good. We had good
Yeah.
food,
That's
good
it.
company. And the crazy part is, you will realize how rich our community is in talent because between the specialists that were there, the GPs that were there that kind of do everything, everyone has these niche,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's aesthetics or digital workflow or
Right.
pediatrics.
Right.
Like it's just amazing to see how much talent we have despite being underrepresented.
That's it.
Um, and the other part is, and this is funny. So two of our presenters, and not to put them out there, but they were presenters that were non-black.
Mm-hmm.
They both came up to me afterwards and they said, and this is it's actually I get emotional just thinking about it. They said, you know what? I have worked with the community of Black dentists before, and I was so happy to be here because this community seems to be during the lectures the most engaged, the most appreciative. They give you the best compliments afterwards. They felt so good working with us. And it was almost unexpected for them
Right.
because these are lecturers that go everywhere all the
I was
time.
gonna say these are international lecturers. Yeah.
International
Yeah.
lecturers. And what they say is that other communities often have this aura of, you know,
Superiority. Yeah.
superiority. And they
Yeah.
say, we come here and we feel appreciated, we feel acknowledged, the eye contact, the questions.
That's it.
And I was so grateful for my community because the truth is, as a community, we are one of the most loving communities. Despite everything
Of
that's going
course.
on in history, we maintain the ability to love not just our own,
Mm-hmm.
but our neighbors.
And welcoming.
And
And welcoming. You have to mention welcoming.
so welcoming.
Yeah.
Yes. And that just made me feel so good
Right.
that they had, this people I brought in um had that great experience. And I'll be that honest. No one makes you feel good like a Black person giving you a compliment. And when I tell you the way our community can just make you feel good about
Right.
how
Right.
you did, right? You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
could be something as simple as you walk in and they're like, "Yo, is that you?
Okay.
Is that you, my man?
Okay. Yep.
Superstar?"
That's
Like
it.
that's it. That's man. I
That's it.
love my
That's it.
people so much because of the type of love and the amount of love we can
Right.
show each other
Right.
at times. So I had a great time.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to reproduce something again next year.
Right.
And I'll tell you this much for anyone that wants to see us kind of do our thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to two scouts while we were there, and so we are going to have some bookings in not just other NDA but other venues. So
Right.
we'll keep posted
That's it.
because our format, man, was so successful.
No, no,
It
I
was
agree.
so
I
successful.
agree. I agree. And a lot of people I think enjoy it just because it's kind of a unique format, right? Normally you're being lectured to, but this time it's okay. Now I'm actually sitting there engaged and I'm thinking because I'm getting brought into the conversation.
Right,
And that was kind of, I remember you and I had that discussion. Like, how do we make sure we incorporate the audience? And being brought in that discussion, one doesn't allow you to be like, oh, okay, this is boring. They're like, you're trying to think, okay, who would I go with if I had to
right,
pick, right? And
right.
just kind of going through that whole entire thing. I had a lady come up to me and was like, your conversation between you two had me basically running through my head this whole day. And she was like, I'm still trying to figure out, would I really go with this or would I go with this or would I? And so just that idea, because usually after you finish with a lecture, you just want to get your CE credits and move on with your life.
Right.
But for them to later on, and this is like a few hours later, talking about, oh man, you guys are still in my head. I'm still going through the discussions the points you guys made. And I said, that's what we wanted. That was it, you know.
That, that,
But man, yo,
that's what we
let's
want.
let's we've I think we've kind of summed it up, but let's talk about some of the negatives. Let's talk about
Negatives.
some of the negatives, and we're doing this to be fair. right? You
Yeah.
know us, this is tooth be told. So we have to kind of give every avenue and kind of say what are some of the things that could be improved. And this is not a we hate anybody, because I think majority we say there was all positives,
Right.
but we have to
Right.
talk the negatives. So what are some of the negatives that we could do better with, or some of the negatives that you noticed?
Well, I think logistically, let's just start with kind of the programming in general, and
Hmm.
then we'll get back to this to our specific debate. When they first gave me the potential outline for how to schedule speakers, it was much more limited. And
Mm,
as I was fighting for more and more, there was a lot of corporate sponsors that were promised time slots. So there ended up being some concurrent programming and weird overlapping, like, me and you were from 8 to 10, but then Rico Short was at 9:30 to 11.
right.
And people were conflicted because they're like, well, this debate is great. And so you kind of saw, like, right as we were done and we were done voting,
People
there
are
was
running
a
out.
number of people that darted out and went right to Rico Short's.
Right. Including presenters. There were presenters that were at our
Yeah,
program that had to
yeah,
leave to go get ready for theirs.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I've been contemplating trying to pose something that's a bit more less competitive,
Mm,
because the last thing you want to do is have two high profile speakers or events
right.
and they're either competitive directly or overlapping, and then you're putting attendees in a
In a
awkward
bind.
position.
Yeah.
As you know, as far on my end, I felt like I was a little understaffed, so that's why our jokes about me running around with chairs. And then as far as our debate format, I think had we had the time we initially wanted,
Mhm.
walking into everything already being set up and not having to wait, because we ended up leaving out some segments. Like
Right.
for anyone that saw it, we had actually planned on having some rebuttal back and forth to where I can address some of your claims, you can address some of my claims. But because we started about 25, 30 minutes late, we kind of had to just go straight from our segments to audience Q&A and then
Right.
vote and get
And then
everybody out.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have loved to seen us have more time to put our vision the way we had spoken about it.
Right.
But even now, with what we did experience, we've already spoken about how to even improve upon even the original
That's
idea,
it.
which,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
what,
And
what
I
about
will say from just kind of an outsider point of view, which I didn't do anything that you did. I feel like we need to get there on time. We need to be earlier if we're gonna have people come in and register that day, right? Because not everybody comes in Thursday, they come in Thursday night, so they have to register the next day, Friday. And if no one is there to register them in, then it's almost like now they're gonna be behind for the first lecture, because it took time. It took about like 10, 15 minutes to register. So I feel like there should be more people to also register people in. So that was my first step. Like, this is me sitting there looking over my presentation and watching what other people were doing, and people were like, "Oh, what do I register?" What like, so there needs to be more of that. And then I look at the student organization, and I look at the dental organization, the we'll call them the adults. I look at both of them, and I think we need to figure a way to incorporate both, so the students can see what they're getting themselves into, and then actually incorporate themselves in to the NDA at a younger age. Because what I noticed, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I saw a lot of well represented older dentists, but very little representation of the younger dentists.
you hit that nail on the head, and there's so many conversations about that. But one thing that I've realized is like every organization in the family of NDA, so the SNDA, the NDA, the assistant
Mm-hmm.
arm of the NDA, the hygienist
The
arm,
hygiene. Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of siloed programming. They do their own thing, we do our own
Right.
thing, they do
Right.
their own thing.
Right.
I think it only makes sense, I would say, to at least have half the programming, the lecturing between the SNDA and the NDA be in unison,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no reason why a dental student can't listen to one of our debates or to an endodontic lecture,
Or pedo.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or pediatric. That way, not only are they learning content, but it's also exposing them to specialties that maybe they have or haven't considered yet,
Very true.
right? Um, And I remember I was talking in the planning phase. I said, hey, I would love for the hands-on portion to be open to NDA students. Who do I
The
talk to?
SNDA students.
That's SNDA, yeah.
Mhm.
How can we make sure, because there's so many of them too. I mean, they come in droves, and there's like
Mhm.
hundreds of them that come. Why can't we get 20 or 30 that have access to some of this stuff?
Right.
Um, and that's, my frustration has been anytime the bigger the organization and the more, I guess, compartmentalized it is, it's like pulling teeth, no pun intended,
Right.
to be able to even communicate. I mean,
Right.
but you're right. I think incorporating the students, if it's not one, at least 50% of it should be in unison with the
Right.
SNDA and
Right.
everything that we do.
And one thing that I remember as a student was the University of Pittsburgh paid for me to come to these conferences. So
Right,
we could always reach out to them and say, hey, can you also sponsor the student to come to some of the hands-on stuff, which
right.
will then incorporate it and make it even better.
Yeah,
So that's something that definitely needs to happen. you
right.
know what do you think about just the idea of the cost for new grads? Because we talked about this off stage here, where off mic, where we basically said, hey, maybe the biggest issue with the fact that younger dentists aren't coming in is because they can't afford it right now.
Right,
And so, we
right,
talked about how about having half the price for your first 5 years to come to
right,
the conference, which would then get you excited about coming when you can afford it,
right.
right? And so I want you kind of give me your opinion on that whole situation.
Yeah, I was fighting for that price to be reduced from day one.
Mm,
It's just it's not within the purview of the scientific committee. And
right.
anyone I ever talk to, it's, well, costs are up, these are up.
True.
Which to a certain extent I get, but then you also have all the ticketed events, the symposiums that cost 100, and the luncheons that cost like
Mm,
$120 to go to, the galas that were $170. And when you're a young dentist and your deferred loans, your loan payments are now
that's
kicking
it.
in, like that's a lot,
Yeah.
and you're kind of getting life started.
Mhm.
Um, I I think that the cost of our event should be about half what it currently is in general for everybody.
Well,
But
okay. So what if the cost is not the issue for most dentists that are established? I feel like the cost are is an issue for, again, the young dentists. So we
right,
could do both. You could say, yes, let's keep the charge the same for regular dentists, but the first 5 years, they pay half, right?
right,
And by doing that, you actually get more tickets sold because then more people are actually going to come. So yeah, you may have kind of lost out on the young dentist, but you still kept the same for the older dentist, right? And then you kind of have more people coming
yeah.
in.
Oh, absolutely. And then these young dentists will just be older dentists, so that's
That's
even
it.
more people that are so engaged, they'll pay more.
That's it.
And I feel like there's a precedence for that because your malpractice insurance has a scaled cost, right? When you first
True.
graduate,
True.
malpractice is like $200, and then
Right.
every year for 3 years it goes up.
Right.
Your ADA dues is the same thing, right? When you first graduate, it's
Mhm.
super cheap,
Right.
and then it goes up.
Right.
So that precedence is there.
Right.
Um,
Lectures. If you want to sign up for some kind of teaching thing, if you're a student, they give you a very big discount.
right,
Right.
right. Yeah, and I'm a bit, because I'm not on the business end of it.
Right.
I'm more of a purist. So I would want this economical and affordable and accessible to everybody because
True
I feel
words. Yeah.
like we need to constantly be improving and enriching our community of dentists, right? So
Right.
I'm just a purist in that sense. And I understand there's got to be costs associated with
And
it,
see, I can see
but
the
then
cost part too.
yeah, but you do have to look at your comparables, right? Because there's other conventions out there that these people want to go to. If
Okay.
you're a pediatric dentist, you have your American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry
Mhm.
that you're probably also budgeting for if
Right.
you're a periodontist or an endodontist.
Hmm.
And so we can't assume that we're the only big expense these
True.
doctors have.
True.
And I think maybe looking at our market value and instead of, how do you maintain your value as an organization and not say that we're going to be cheap because we're Black, because we're not as
Right.
valuable. But how do you also stay competitive in a market where CE is readily available online? There's a
True.
lot of
True.
local institutions doing it. So you can't price yourself out the market. And
I mean,
sometimes
I
I
agree with
fear.
you. I agree with you to a certain extent. I don't believe in reducing my price just because. I do.
Mhm.
I think that you have to give a reason. You have to give people reasons to come. Right. There are dentists, I'm going to speak to like the perio. I know periodontists that literally just pay, don't even go to any lecture, and then pass out like the codes so they can get the CE. So really, all they're doing is paying for the CE, right? And so, and I know it's still expensive to go to these conferences, even for that.
Right,
So for me, I don't think it makes sense to lower the price. I think what needs to happen is for you to engage people enough that they want to come.
right.
They're not gonna, we were talking about this, and I think you might mention this. If you make it so broad where they're like, oh my God, I'm getting my perio information, I'm getting my endo information, I'm getting so you're getting all kinds of stuff. You may actually think, man, I don't need to go to the ADA conference.
Right.
I got everything I needed here.
Right. No, no, 100%. And I think that's where, when I realized that I would have no influence over the cost,
Right.
my philosophy even more went towards, well, let me give them such a kick-ass program
That's it.
that it'll justify any cost. And my goal is to rebrand the academic program of the NDA to be that premier go-to,
Right.
whether you're an
That's right.
NDA member or a Black dentist or not. Right? I want someone that's not even an NDA member to come across that brochure or that
Yep.
social media post and be like, "Oh, damn, what's
They-
this convention? Because
That's
this
it.
looks
Yeah,
great."
they got that person to speak. Oh wow,
Yeah,
or
you
wow,
know,
this is going to be a good time. It's a great, yeah.
right,
So I agree. I agree. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing they need to do is just say, okay, we're compete with all these people. How do we stand out?
right,
Because I feel like people would just go, okay, well, we have the ADA conference and we have to go to that, and I just don't want it to be we have to go. It's I want to go. If I'm going to put anything on my calendar, it should be the NDA. And to me, I think if we keep going and if it keeps going in a way it should, I really do think that should be the first thing people do. You know what I mean? So
it is, and and to throw my last thoughts out here,
yeah, man.
I work with a lot of PWIs, predominantly white institutions, just
Mhm.
by virtue of being in the Northwest. And I can tell you this much, and this is where what I'm trying to also bring the NDA. A lot of these institutions, they are they revolve around timelines, punctuality, and securing stuff early. So when I worked with the Pacific Northwest Dental Convention, they had me on contract a year and a half ahead of time,
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
right?
Okay.
I'm talking with right now in with one of the scouts that was actually at the
Yeah, the New
NDA
York one.
out in Greater New York.
Hmm.
And we're looking at 2025
Hmm.
because this year's already fully booked,
Right.
right? So this is a year and a half out, and we're already, building that program.
Hmm.
And I think, even like you said, a lot of these events, the sessions will start a little late,
That's it.
end a little late, and then the whole day is just a little late.
That's it. We
And
got we got to
so
do better. We got to do
we
better.
got to do better. And so my thing is, I'm already starting planning because I want to be able to secure speakers for
Right.
next year now, and within the next few weeks, already start marketing at least the basic outline of the programming,
That's it. Yeah.
so people can know ahead of time to invest in it.
Right. No, we have to respect people's time. We have to respect people's time, and I think that's one of those things where we have to realize, okay, how do we change? How do we
Right.
change? And if I have to be honest, like people had a great time in Vegas. I know they did because a good friend of mine said now I have to basically replace what did he say? He has to start drinking a lot more water. So that speaks to how much fun they had in Vegas. Let's be honest. And Santana Jackson for me was incredible. So
Right.
so so despite that, everybody had a good time. Vegas is a great spot to do a conference, but you can't get Vegas all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think one of those things where you would get people to come through is to have something that in the books, you're like, this is going to be great. I'm going to get to learn a lot. I'm going to get to do and see a good amount of stuff, not just the same repetitive BS. Because to be honest, even for the Perio conference, every time I go, I'm like, oh, okay, it's the same exact BS that I heard a year ago, 2 years ago. Why are we still talking about this?
Very
All right.
infantile. We get
That's
it.
right. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, bone loss. Moving on. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So, like, you just have to give people something that they've just never heard. You may not agree with it. You may not say this is right for me, but at least it gets you to think, right? Like, you may say, oh, well, what are these natural dentists talking about? Da, da, da. But guess what? It's a different thought process. So I think giving people a platform to say, let's think a little bit and, just something different will get people to come in. But let's wrap it up here. We've talked too much.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I think it's time for you to go relax and actually enjoy vacation before you have to start working again. You know what I mean? You worked hard, but not, honestly, thank you. I want to say this. I don't even care who won. I mean, I did. And I'm still getting my steak, but but it was so much fun. I really believe that I had a great time. People enjoyed it and it was just fun. It was just fun. And I hope we keep doing this. NDA, thank you so much for inviting me to come and present and speak. It probably was one of the best things I've done in my life so far. So, and I'm not including my kids because my kids were the best thing I ever done. This was, and I should have, the funny thing is I gotta say this too, actually. You showed a picture of your family, and everybody was like, "Oh, that's so cute." And I was like, "God damn it! Why didn't he tell me to? Let me show a picture of my family. I would have won."
Listen. That's on you because how many times did I text you or call you and say, "Hey, don't forget your first couple slides are introducing yourself,
That's it.
personal
But
life,
I'm
and
not
look."
gonna. I'm not gonna pawn my kids onto. I would have won. If they would have seen my kids, I would have won. It would have been easy. I wouldn't even have to present.
Right.
The
And
way you did it.
we're done.
Yeah. Oh, and then look at my beautiful wife. I was like, this son of a bitch. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out, like, I didn't do any of that. I was like, this slick mother. Okay, this is how we're doing it. All right. So next year, I got you. Don't worry about it. I might have a photo shoot with my kids just so I
Right.
can put it on there.
Have them in the same poses that you had where you're like
I'm like, Daddy needs this victory. Make it look good. But yeah, man, it was dope, man. But it was honestly an incredible time. Thank you. Thank you for jumping on here to do this recap for the NDA and any other conference. If there's a recap that needs to be done, if anybody wants to come on to the episode, because a lot of people were asking us about the podcast. And if anybody wants to come on, remember, it's Real Dentist, REAL, dentist with an S at gmail.com. Just email us and we'll get you on, man. We love talking to people.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, my man.
All right, brother. We'll talk. Enjoy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Truth Be Told. The opinions on this episode are just that, our opinions. Please consult your dental professional before taking any action with your dental health. If you have any questions about anything you heard on this episode, please contact us at Real Dentist with an S. That's REAL Dentist with an S at gmail.com. We would be very happy to return any message that we receive because we love the communication that we have with our listeners.